Hello everyone, I am River Chow. It's been a while since I have seen you all, almost 3 years, and I'm thrilled to be back. This time, I will bring you through a huge subject about time and space. What is your understanding about time? How ancient Chinese define time? In the philosophy of Tao, time is not a straight line, but a circle. Time is perceived as a cycle which can simply explain by this 360-degree circle. However, this 360-degree circle alone might seem meaningless. What does 0 degrees or 180 degrees really mean to us? Here's the cool part. Once we overlay it with a Tai Chi diagram, something hidden is revealed. It enables us to locate our position. Then this 0 degree and 180 degree become something meaningful. For example, if we assume this Tai Chi diagram as a daily cycle, 0 degree means midnight, and 180 degree means noon. Ancient Chinese divided the Tai Chi diagram into 12 sections, each marked by a unique name. Indeed, these names are more than just a label. They are the codes of the earthly branches. These 12 earthly branches are the essential key to understanding the secrets of the universe. These codes are so unique that translating them into English is simply impossible. But don't worry. Since each of these codes corresponds to a zodiac animal, it creates an easier way to remember them, especially for those who don't read Chinese. For example, if this 360-degree circle represents a daily cycle, this section is known as the hour of the rat, which fall between 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. In Chinese, we call it the hour of Ji. Then, the hour of ox. In Chinese, we call it the hour of Chou. Etc., etc. When one cycle finished, it signifies the completion of a full day. This 360-degree circle is literally a very useful tool that can help us to understand the dance of time, its pattern and its rhythms. You may ask, how? It is very simple. What we need to do is to integrate either a diagram of a Tai Chi or a diagram of the 12 waxing and waning hexagrams, or a diagram of 64 hexagrams into this 360-degree circle. Picture tells 1,000 words. These pictures tell us lots of secret if we know how to decode it. From now on, I will bring you through this decoding journey in my coming video. Please stay tuned with me. Alright, before we go any further, let's take a step back and review our daily cycle through this Tai Chi diagram. The left side is Yang, represent daytime, while the right side is Yin, represent nighttime. When a full cycle is completed, it is considered as one day. This is what the modern term describes as Earth rotation. When one daily cycle ends, a new one begins. Every end of a cycle leads to a new beginning of another cycle. In other words, this 0 degree can be an end, it can also be a beginning. This 360-degree circle can be a daily cycle, or it can be a monthly cycle, or it can also be a year cycle. In this video, I will walk you through a time calculation system called
元会运势
a system that helps you understand that time is not random, it moves in a structured and a repeating patterns. Indeed,
元会运势
are just the pronunciation. What's it all about? Well, it's a model that shares similarities with the concept of the wheel of time. This system assumes there are different tiers of time wheels. The largest time wheel is called
元
It is covering 129,600 years. And the larger wheel divided into 12 smaller wheels. Each spans 10,800 years. And each smaller wheel is further divided into 30 units of time wheel. So on and so forth. Through this sequence of number, divided by 12, divided by 30, divided by 12, divided by 30, it allows us to locate our temporal position at any moment. Let me give you an example. By using this time wheel system, we can calculate that the year 2020 is here. Hexagram, bright wipeout. It means that hexagram, bright wipeout, was on duty in 2020. It was the commander of the year who gave his influence and impact to the world. Still remember the darkness of the pandemic? When brightness was wiped out. It was like the sun hid below the surface. This is exactly the revelation of hexagram, bright wipeout. If you want to know more about this hexagram or other 64 hexagrams, my books have the full translation. It took me 3 years to bring these books to life. Welcome to check the description box below. Let's continue. So, with this system, you can match any day and any year to its corresponding hexagram. Why would you do that? You might ask, what for? In the metaphysical field, everything possesses its own energy and vibrational frequency. Every object, tangible or intangible, carries a unique vibrational frequency. Even time itself has its own energy and frequency. These energies and frequencies can be classified as either yin or yang. Furthermore, these energies and frequencies can also be categorized into 5 major elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, through the profound 5 elements theory. Again, if we overlay a postnatal 8 trigram onto this 360-degree circle, it allows us to identify the 5 elements. By doing so, we know which elements are favorable or advantageous at specific points in time. That is why, every year, I make myself an annual chart to forecast the weather. Let me share a bit of the secret with you. Take April 4, 2025, for example. It was positioned at this point. A region dominated by the element of fire, meaning anything associated with fire was in favor. This technique is one of the methods I use to forecast the weather. However, I must emphasize that this system may not always be accurate, as there are other factors to consider. For example, the heavenly stem and earthly branches system and the 9 palace flying star systems, which I will cover them in my upcoming video. Nevertheless, this
圆、会、月、是
system still stands out as a remarkable tool for understanding the concept of time through the 360-degree circle. Before we get into more details about
圆、会、月、是
it is essential to grasp some underlying assumption behind this 360-degree circle. Primarily, there are 5 cycles. They are the daily cycle, monthly cycle, 1-year cycle, 30-year cycle, and 360-year cycle. For a daily cycle, 1 degree represents 1 ancient second. If a full circle is divided into 12 sections, it represents 12 ancient hours. As mentioned earlier, we call them the hour of rat, the hour of ox, etc. For a monthly cycle, 1 degree represents 1 ancient hour, and a full circle covers 30 days. For a year cycle, each degree represents 1 day. Thus, the full circle covers 12 months, which we call the month of rat, the month of ox, and so on. For a 30-year cycle, each degree represents 30 days or 1 month. Lastly, for a 360-year cycle, each degree represents 1 year. So, a full circle covers 360 years. Now, I believe you have a clearer picture of how ancient Chinese perceived the dance of time. Next, we can delve into this time wheel system in detail. For easier understanding, let me translate this
圆、会、月、是
into these English terms: the golden wheel, the silver wheel, the copper wheel, and the iron wheel. This is the formula for how ancient Chinese perceived the dance of time. You might have noticed that a pattern emerges from these particular numbers, 12 and 30. Through this formula, we understand that a golden wheel spans 129,600 years. These figure, 129,600 years, somehow, intriguingly aligns with a significant Western geometric concept, the Platonic geometric number, where 60 to the power of 4th also equals 129,600. Don't you think it's amazing? It indicated that both the East and the West have a consistent view of our universe. Now, we know that we are living in the golden wheel of this 129,600 years cycle. But in which parts then? This time, we overlay another diagram onto this 360-degree circle. A 12 waxing and waning diagram. Tao reveals that sky is opened at the first silver wheel, land is built at second silver wheel, and humans are alive at the third silver wheel. We have actually been through half of the golden wheel. And we are now somewhere around here. The 7th wheel. This silver wheel spanning 10,800 years, from 2217 BC to 8583 AD. Since this silver wheel is corresponding to hexagram Evil Queen, this era is termed the Silver Wheel of the Evil Queen. For human beings, a 10,800-year era feels incredibly long. Can it be broken down into shorter periods? Of course, this is exactly what this 360-degree circle is made for. This time, we overlay another diagram onto this full circle, a diagram of 64 hexagrams. But here is the secret part: to exclude these 4 hexagrams. Hexagram heaven, hexagram earth, hexagram leaf and hexagram pit. Because they are the 4 dimensions of the Tai Chi. By doing so, to minus these 4 hexagrams. 64 minus 4. After all, the remaining 60 hexagrams can perfectly fit into a 360-degree circle. It also means each silver wheel can equally share 5 hexagrams. And each hexagram spans an extensive timeline of 2,160 years. To be specific, we are living in a timeline spanning from 57 BC to 2103 BC, correspond to hexagram, great excessive. Then you may ask, 2,160 years is still too long for human being, we need a timeline in a smaller scale. Like 360-year cycle, or another term, a copper time wheel. This is the fascinating part, let me show you the tricks. By knowing that we are living in a time corresponding to hexagram, great excessive, in this silver wheel. Each Yao has a 360-year lifespan. When its first Yao changes, it turns hexagram executive. When its second Yao changes, it turns to hexagram sensation. When its third Yao changes, it turns to hexagram plight. When the fourth Yao changes, it turns to hexagram well. When the fifth Yao changes, it turns to hexagram long-lasting. And when the last Yao changes, it turns to hexagram Evil Queen. This is exactly where we are now, year 1744 to 2103. By using this method, we know we are living here, hexagram Evil Queen of the Copper Wheel. Again, 360 years is still too long for a human lifetime. So, we can use the same method to calculate the Iron Wheel as we do for the Copper Wheel. As we know, we are currently in this 360-year cycle correspond to hexagram Evil Queen. And each Yao covers 60 years. Again, when its first Yao changes, it turns hexagram heaven. When its second Yao changes, it turns to hexagram retreat. When the third Yao changes, it turns to hexagram dispute. When the fourth Yao changes, it turns to hexagram shuan. When the fifth Yao changes, it turns to hexagram tripod cauldron. And the last Yao changes, it turns to hexagram great excessive. Through this method, we know that we are living in this 60-year cycle, correspond to hexagram tripod cauldron. From year 1984 to 2043. By overlaying this timeline with 64 hexagrams, it allows us to identify the ruling hexagram for each given year. For example, year 2020 is governed by hexagram bright wipeout. By using the same method, layer by layer, we can even calculate which hexagram governs any given day. This chart provides a quick reference summary. If you'd like a soft copy or want to learn how to calculate a daily hexagram on your own, you are welcome to join my Patreon. Check the description box below for details. Overall, I would say that this system allows us to recognize how big the time cycle can be. In Chinese, we have a quote saying that 1,000 years to human, just a second to heaven. Our life is so short. 30 years? 40 years? Perhaps 90 years? If we try to fit our life into these 129,600 years of the Golden Time Wheel, we would not even able to spot it. Although our life is short, it holds its own purpose in this 360-degree system, the so-called Tao. Everyone is born for its own purpose. Everyone is given a role to play, a path to walk. If you believe in an afterlife, that every end leads to a new beginning. So, this point, the 360-degree rotation is reset to 0. Then, you might realize that you will have a lot of characters to play within this Golden Time Wheel. One life, a farmer, the next, a banker. Perhaps once a fisherman, now reborn as a fish. Life is like a role-playing game. where identities shift but connections remain. Recently, I watched a Korean drama that featured some scenes that are quite inspiring in this regard. This is a Korean drama named When Life Gives You Tangerines on Netflix. The story timeline is set around 1950, in a small fishing village on Jeju Island, South Korea. This little girl, passionate about poetry, dreams of becoming a poet. Her mother was fully aware of her daughter's talent and put her utmost effort into letting her daughter continue her studies at school. But life is not easy at all. No matter how hard she tried, she could not afford her daughter's education. Soon after, the mother passes away and left this little girl alone facing all the adversities. After many decades of hardship, joy, and sorrow, this little girl grew old and became an old lady. At this point, fate let them come across each other again at the fish market in just a few minutes. But their identity becomes different. They are no longer playing a mother and daughter role, they are just a stranger to each other. And many years later, they cross path again. Fate grants her a chance to pick up a pen and write her poems again. Fate also led her to reconnect with her mother again. But this time, their identity becomes different. This woman grows old and becomes a book publisher. By sheer coincidence, she comes across this old lady's poetry and is moved to tears for no reason. She doesn't know why, but the poems touch her heart deeply. It turns out that the publisher is, in fact, the reincarnation of the girl's deceased mother. In the end, this publisher helps this old lady to publish her poetry collection. The mother of the past finally let her daughter's dream come true. Be a poet. Don't you think that this woman was born to be a guardian angel to her daughter from her previous life? Whenever you feel life is unfair or frustrating, take a step back and see the bigger picture. Don't let a single moment define you. As life is so short, cherish every moment, no matter a good one or a bad one. I hope you like my video. Oh, there's one more thing I want to share, my own thoughts that I'd like to share with you. This Tai Chi diagram is a simple diagram, but it says a lot. And this prenatal 8 trigram talks about nature. We, human beings that are made up of flesh and soul, are an integral part of nature. If we overlay them into this 360-degree circle again, the left side belongs to the realm of Yang while the right side belongs to the realm of Yin. From the moment we give birth at 0 degree, our life cycle begins here. And we're all heading toward heaven. You thought we were all finished at this point. In fact, there is still another side to go. The cycle is not yet finished. What will happen on the sides? The realm of Yin. I leave this up for your thinking. Now, it's time for our 1-minute writing session. This time, we learn this character, which you will see often in the lunar calendar. Guess what the meaning is? It means year. Next time, when you spot this character in the lunar calendar, you will know that it indicates the year. For example, this one refers to the year 2015. Thank you for watching.